Good morning, class. Today is Monday, September 14th, and for your math lesson today, we're going to be talking about rounding numbers. So this is your goal for today. I can round numbers to the nearest 10 or 100. Today, we're just going to be talking about how to round to the nearest 10. And some real-life examples of why you would use this or when you would use this. Let's say you're going to the grocery store and you've got several things in your cart. You may want to, as you're putting things in your cart, round the price. Let's say you've got a box of cereal for $2.98. Well, I know that's really close to $3, so I'm going to go ahead and round it to $3. So that's just an example of how you would use it in real life. And why we would do that at the grocery store is to make sure when you get to the counter that you have enough money. Okay, another example could be when you're buying lumber for a building project. Let's say I know the width of my project is 4 feet. Well, if they don't make a 4 foot long board, you're going to have to round up to the closest length board that would work for your project. Okay. A lot of people round when they're making their monthly budget. So for example, if I get paid $2,000 a month, I need to make sure that all my expenses, like how much I pay for my house, how much I pay for electricity and food and gas, I kind of round or estimate how much those are going to cost me for the whole month. And then if I have money left over, then I can go buy myself something that I really want, not necessarily something that I need. So rounding in that case would be for budgeting to make sure you have enough money each month. Okay? So that's what we're going to practice today. So as you look down at my screen, you see I have this dry erase mat, which you guys got at Meet the Teacher. It has two sides. We're going to use the side that has the number lines. So you will need this mat and a dry erase marker. If you don't have these things, you can use a pencil and paper. Math spiral would be just fine too. Okay? So what we're going to do is talk about how you can place numbers on a number line to figure out what it rounds to. So let's say my number is 46. So this would be the number line you guys would use. 46. And today, since we're just rounding to the nearest 10, I'm going to label my number line with the tens. Okay? So always at the beginning we start with 0. And then next would be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Okay? And if I'm given the number 46, I need to ask myself, what two tens does 46 fall between? Okay? So that should be your first step. What two tens does it fall in between? If you need to skip count to help yourself, then you can do that. So it would be 0 to 10, no, 10, 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50. So it is between 40 and 50. Now, what would be the halfway point? What's halfway between 40 and 50? If you're thinking 45, then you're correct. 45 is right in the middle. What would be halfway between 50 and 60? 55. Halfway between 60 and 70? 65. Halfway between 70 and 80? 75. Do you see a pattern now? Halfway between ends in a 5. So next would be 85, then 95. So that's going to help us figure out, does it need to go to the right of the middle or to the left of the middle? And I'm going to go ahead and switch to this number line since it's a little bit easier to see the bigger numbers. Okay, so we said 45 is right in the middle. So would 46 be to the left or to the right? 46 would be to the right, so we would put our dot right there. Now I can easily see that this spot for 46 is closer to 50. So it's between 40 and 50, and since it's closer to 50, it rounds to 50. Okay, let's try another one. Okay, my next number is 12. First, we need to ask ourselves, what two numbers is it between? Here, we'll leave this up here. What two numbers is it between? Counting my tens. Okay, so if you want to pause and figure out on your mat or your spiral, what two tens would it come in between, go ahead and do that now. Okay, so if you guessed it's between 10 and 20, you are right. Now we need to plot it on our number line. So, what would be halfway between 10 and 20? Remember, it ends in a 5, so it would be 15. Okay, now so would 12 be on the left of the middle or to the right? If you're thinking to the left, then you are correct. We're going to put it somewhere right in there. So now I can tell it's closer to 10 than it is to 20. So we would say 12 rounds to 10. Rounding to the nearest 10. That's why we only have tens on our number line. Okay, next one, 85. Now I want you to pause the video real quick and I want you to try this one. Tell me what two numbers it's in between and which one do you think it's going to round to. This one's a little bit tricky. Okay, 85. So it is between 80 and 90. Now let's figure out where it goes on our number line. 85 is right in the middle. So it's not closer to 80 and it's not closer to 90. It's directly in the middle. So when you get a number like this that ends in a 5 and it's right in the middle, you have to round up. So anytime it's right in the middle, you always round up. So in this case, 85 would round to 90. Okay, let's do a few more. 74. 74. What two numbers is it in between? Okay, 7 clues me in that it has to be in the 70s. So I'm going to go between 70 and 80. Okay, now we figured out what two tens it's between. We want to plot it on our number line. Remember, the middle would be 75. So now I need to decide, is it going to be over here on the left or over on the right? It should be right here before 75. Okay, so if it's closer to 70 than it is to 80, then we say it rounds to 70. So 74 would round to 70. So if anything is to the left of the middle, you're going to round down. If anything is on the middle or to the right, it's going to round up to the next 10. Okay? Next one, 63. 63. So the 6 at the beginning kind of clues me in again on what place I should start. I should start with the 60s on my number line. So 63 is going to be between 60 and 70. Okay, so 60 and 70. Now we need to put it on our number line. Remember, middle, halfway is 65. So 63 must come before 65. It's going to be right about here. Okay, so remember, if it's less than halfway, it's going to be closer, and we round down to that lower number, 60. If it's in the middle or to the right, we would have rounded up to 70. Okay? Now, let's look at this one. Notice this was 63 that we did before, and now I have 263. So I want you to try to round that to the nearest 10. Is it going to change just because I put a 2 in the hundreds place? No. So what would happen then? We said that 63 rounds to 60. So if I take 263, all I do is keep that 2 in front. I can even cover this up and say, okay, 63. What two tens does it come in between? Well, it comes in between 60 and 70. We've already done that. Okay. Now we already said too, 63 is closer to 60, so it rounds to 60. So the only step that's different is you have to make sure that you include that number in the hundreds place. If you're rounding 263 to the nearest 10, it would round to 260. Okay? Let's try another one like that. Let me turn my mat over. Okay, the next number is 528. And we're going to round to the nearest 10. So we're still looking at what tens it falls between. And we're looking at 28. So this 2 gives me a clue that it must come between the 20s and the 30s. Now the only step that's different is now we have to make sure we include this hundreds digit. So it's going to be between 530 and 520. Okay? Now let's put 28 on our number line. We know it's going to be between 20 and 30. Now we need to figure out which one it's closer to. If this is 25, then I need to make sure I put 28 over here to the right. Okay, now I can see that 28 is much closer to 30 than it is to 20. So in this case, 528 rounded to the nearest 10 would be 530. Okay? So those are the steps that we need to try to do today during our assignment. I want you guys to figure out what is it in between, what two tens is it in between, and then what did we do next? After we figured out what two tens it was between, we had to put it on the number line. We plot it on the number line, and that helps us see what is it closest to. So the last thing you ask yourself is, what 10 is it closer to? Okay, so that's all rounding is. You are figuring out what number it is closest to. Okay, so today for your lesson, you're going to be practicing putting numbers on a number line, figuring out what they fall between and what it rounds to. Okay.